All right, the grand finals. Comment below with what you call the finals of double elimination brackets. Is it just like the winners grand final? Like there's a winners finals and then like a finals and then a final grand. I don't know. Comment below. Let me know what you think. But we got KHAANX and Vygg part 2 coming up right now for the Poro Furioso number 3 championship. We'll see who's able to take it home, and if Vygg will be able to take home not just the LRA for Team Mafia alongside his teammates, but also the Poro Furioso number 3. Again, with 200 entrants, so this is no snuff of a tournament. This was a pretty large event. And again, thank you to everybody involved. Sergen, definitely for communicating with me and getting me and Boulevard involved in casting this as well. Awesome stuff. Awesome for Riot Latin America also helping to put this together and just allowing us to go ahead and stream this alongside the Spanish casters as well. So let's go ahead and without further ado get into Vygg versus KHAANX for the finals of Poro Furioso number 3.
Found it.
Did they play in Swiss?
In round 6, Vygg beat KHAANX 2-1.
All right, so technically Vygg is up 5-4 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see if KHAANX can even it up and then take the overall victory. Actually, if KHAANX wins 2-1, then technically they're tied.
Yeah.
Technically, even though KHAANX wins the tournament, they're technically tied head-to-head for the day.
We are getting a run back here in game number 1, Mist Wraiths versus Anivia, and there's one Avalanche in Vygg's opening hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the game in just 1 second. Gonna wait for it to load up here. It looks like there we go. Getting into the game, and all right. So again, this is difficult for KHAANX, especially with Avalanche already sitting there in the first hand, like you just mentioned. We even have a grasp and a ruination if we want to keep it. Generally speaking, I feel like you don't keep ruination in your opening hand. Feels a little bit clunky. And an Averosian Sentry to get some of that draw power going, but we are going to toss the ruination and Sentry, get a ruination back, rip, and draw into a Kindly Tavern Keeper. So honestly, again, Vygg has a pretty good starting hand going up against this aggro deck.
So to remind both SJW, myself, and all the new viewers who have come in for the Grand Finals that missed the beginning of the Grand Finals, what happened in game number 1 was Vygg won this matchup by using 3 Avalanche in the first 5 or 6 turns, and then won the game on 1 HP. It was very, very close for Vygg after what should be considered one of the best openers you can hope for. So honestly, I still have to give the edge to KHAANX in this matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree. For it to be that close that late in the game, I definitely agree. As long as KHAANX plays similar to what happened before, I think he's going to have the advantage here. So we'll see what type of opener Khan has. Usually not going to go Stygian Onlooker. So, all right, in this matchup, generally, you never just play Stygian Onlooker as a 2-1. But I feel like I've seen people in certain matchups play Stygian Onlooker on turn 1 as a 2-1 just to poke that 2 damage.
Yeah, and I don't hate it if your opponent isn't running Vile Feast.
Or lots of removal like we see in the case of Vygg. Yeah, so, okay, yeah. So just wanted to throw that out there, but it will not be an option likely here for KHAANX with not only triple Vile Feast being run on the side of Vygg, but also, like we've been mentioning, Avalanche and things of that nature. So, and again, if you guys are wondering why they're roping on turn 1, well, that's to help out the casters. Because, yeah, it's it's been a day trying to connect to the spectator mode, so we just want to make sure we're all connected up and good to go before we get into the game. So shout out to the players for getting that done for us. So going into full turn 3s here, everybody having full mana available, and this is actually smart for KHAANX, right? I mean, Kindly Cavern Keeper is basically useless as a turn 3 play here, so I imagine even Catalyst of Aeons, if we had it, would not be healing anything here.
No, and we are going to see the horror come out all the way from the left because while you can make the consideration to go for big combo turns and things like that, I do always like to see just a Mist Wraith come out on 2 and get that train rolling as early as possible.
Yeah. Yep, no, I agree 100%. No Mist Wraith, unfortunately, though. Arachnoid Horror, I really like Arachnoid Horror, though, because it does actually push some of the most damage early on in the game. So we'll see if we're able to get anything else summoned here, because it would go straight into an avalanche. So would not be surprised to see the open attack. Looks like we are going to get that from KHAANX. Start pushing a little bit of damage. And obviously we're going to let that one through.
No reason not to take that one when we have the Kindly Tavern Keeper on backup. And Vygg, despite running these really low follower count decks, does find them in a timely fashion. You know, the Chump Wumps, even though he did end up losing the game, were a huge help for him in the Frostbite mid-range matchup. And the Kindly Tavern Keeper going to be really, really big for him in this one. There is the Wraithcaller, there is the Whiff, there is the Relentless Pursuit on the top of KHAANX's deck. And honestly,
man.
he finished off the last game in last series also whiffing on this Wraithcaller. So, you know, things just feeling really stacked against KHAANX in this particular matchup. First, the triple avalanche for Vygg, now a whiff onto the Wraithcaller, and he's playing it safe. He's only running 3 offsuit cards.
Yeah, that is unlucky. I mean, no, only two Relentless Pursuit.
Oh
yeah,
my god!
Literally only 2. That is one of the best odds you can get for Legions, and we're still missing it. And I think the worst part about that is that your opponent now knowing that you have a Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to sort of blow them out with that one and make them go, okay, well, I don't think he has it, and
there
got
it is.
Scared for a second there.
There it is. Yeah, right. And this doesn't feel terrible for KHAANX, because now the question is, do you just develop into, because now you're going into a turn where this is turn 6, they will be short of Ruination. Vygg will.
Yeah.
Do you just try to risk it, thinking your opponent does not have? Well, I think now you do, because. Never mind.
Yeah, and I think you would have anyway. Yeah. If you're gonna play in a tournament and go, okay, my opponent opened triple avalanche in match 1, and then if they open triple avalanche again in match 2, you're just like, okay, you know what? This is a legitimate complaint that I get.
Like, it happens. Whatever. I'm just gonna deal with it. Yeah. So I think now we just fully develop here and try to go in for an attack. This Vile Feast, though, man, again, like, just so much removal and Frostbite and all that stuff in Vygg's deck. It's insane. Would really love to get rid of this 3-1 Kindly Tavern Keeper. Feels really bad just knowing that's a fearsome blocker and only has 1 health left.
Man, could you imagine if Wraithcaller still had fearsome?
Oh my god.
Yeah, for those of you that weren't around at the beginning, Wraithcaller used to have fearsome. When we talk about those scary, spooky fearsome decks from back in the day, that was the big one.
Those were ridiculous. That was I don't know how that ever happened. That's insane. Wow. I'd be very curious to see. I mean, no, actually, I think Wraithcaller is in a very good spot now. I think it's perfect. Yeah, so.
Definitely would have hated to see this get its fearsome back for some reason. Oh, Wraithcaller is actually a girl.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it says she appears without a sound.
Oh, are you looking at the...
And yeah, just click the eye thing. I love looking at the full art.
Yeah, the terrors that follow her are far less subtle. Say, I gotta shout out to 6 More Vodka, man. They are some great card art. I definitely love the work they do. So, Anivia coming down, though, early again. So, we're being able to consistently get these Anivias early in the game is really good for Vygg. And honestly, just the way things are panning out, having missed that elite... Oh my god! Are you kidding me? Where's the... Can somebody... Okay, I was going to say, where's the... That's...
Oh, KHAANX.
Like, I was gonna say, where's like the Darius emote from KHAANX? I need something. We need some emotion from KHAANX getting just complete RNG hell here.
Yeah, I mean, so now you have 2 Relentless Pursuit. What do you do with that?
Well,
I was gonna try and track if the 1 damage that was missing on the Wraithcaller was relevant, but now like it's a totally different game or on the Mist Wraith rather, because now it's a totally different game. You don't have that free Mist Wraith. It's so much easier for Vygg to clean up the board. And imagine losing on the side of Vygg.
Oh, that's going to feel terrible. Yeah, that's going to feel terrible. Oh, well.
You were basically handed a free win in the first match with the triple avalanche. Basically handed a free win here now with the double Wraithcaller whiffing.
Yeah, some bad luck from Khan, I got to say. It feels really bad because this deck is good. I guess it bears the question, is Relentless Pursuit? I don't think, from what we've seen, especially with these Mistcallers or Wraithcallers missing, I don't think we can actually say whether or not Relentless Pursuit is a better ad than Go Hard here, just because of the way these games have played out.
You mean Go Get It?
Wait, what? I mean, go get it. They're all the same thing. Go get it. Go
They're
hard.
very different.
Nah.
Now that we're starting to actually see them all see play,
yeah.
I don't think we're allowed to mix up the names anymore.
Do we see all? I don't think Out of the Way sees a lot of the play. All right.
It does not. Neither does Give It All.
Yeah. Wait, which one's Give It All? Oh, that's the set everything to the attack or whatever.
Yeah. Gain all the keywords.
Out of the Way, I feel like could be good at some point in the future.
That's kind of how I felt when I saw it, but it hasn't done anything just yet. I feel like it's a tarot card, and tarot cards just don't tend to do what you want them to.
I saw BBG playing it in like a 4 Demacia deck, which was pretty cool. Keeping that +3/+3 seems kind of okay.
Yeah.
So we get the grasp coming out here. Gonna get the full heal too out of the grasp. We could see a Mark of the Isles to push some damage here. It looks like
we have the Vile Feast.
Yeah, God, this feels bad. Which we also still get the full heal out of, which means we'd go back up to 20.
Yeah. So 17 when all is said and done on the side of Vygg, and this is hard to watch.
Yeah, it really. I was just gonna say I don't want to call it, but like we might have to call it.
When this much goes wrong for you, I mean, what are you even supposed to do on the side of KHAANX? Even Relentless Pursuit here doesn't look great. It's only going to push 3 more damage, but you've got 2 of them.
I mean, I think at this point you really just hope to get some sort of multiple like Frenzied Skitterer fearsome turn with a Relentless Pursuit.
And that's how we saw KHAANX almost pick up game number 1. But it's not going to work out now. Then the Anivia is going to level at the end of the turn. I think KHAANX has to go for a really big Relentless Pursuit turn here. And if you force out an Avalanche or a Ruination, you are at the very least actually killing your opponent's Anivia.
Yeah. And then now we're going to actually get the Anivia Egg leveling up next turn too, because we will be Enlightened. So that's not going to prove to be good for KHAANX. Yeah, this is really rough. I mean, we even see the Ruination still in hand. Here is the Frenzied Skitterer. So maybe this is the turn, but if you Ruination here... All right, let's say you don't Ruination, you pass, we get a Relentless Pursuit. Then you just Ruination, right?
Either that, or you just like crumble the Frenzied Skitterer and then just take 3. Yeah, not that bad. You're gonna have a fearsome blocker on the following turn with the Anivia.
Yeah, it might be the better play because if it is Relentless Pursuit here, then you get Ruination. Your opponent does still have 6 mana to redevelop. And then they actually have 2 back-to-back attacks with that. So, yep, there's the Relentless. So we'll see if this draws out a Ruination, or you could just chill. You even have like Vengeance and Flash Freeze.
Yeah, I mean, you might just play the Sentry after this to actually have a kill onto the Wraithcaller and like Flash Freeze the Frenzied Skitterer. You're really not feeling the heat here on the side of Vygg. Okay, we're going to get Crumble to start things off. And we're going to get a draw for the Harrowing number 2.
That still leaves Avarosian as another blocker if something gets played that's non-fearsome. It does still leave the Flash Freeze up as well, so we could theoretically take nothing. All right, so this is probably going to be Flash Frozen.
I would imagine whatever's going at... Oh, it's tough, because if the Wraithcaller goes at the Anivia, which is what I would assume is going to happen here, because it just gets blocked by the Spiderling, do you Flash Freeze the Nocturne and take 8, or do you try to save this Anivia? I would imagine that the Harrowings mean you don't actually care that much about the Anivia. You can go ahead and die. It doesn't matter all that much. Yeah. It just is unfortunate the first Harrowing is only going to get you the 1 Anivia.
Now, this does... So, because it is a Flash Freeze, this will still push a significant amount of damage from Khan, because next turn you'll be able to open attack as well.
But you'll be open attacking... Vengeance. Yeah, there is Vengeance. Yeah, it's still rough. Even the Sentry gets to come down to have a blocker for the Wraithcaller.
Yeah, this just feels... You nailed it. This is difficult to watch on the side of KHAANX. And yet, now look where we're at. KHAANX seems like he has maybe some really, crazy outs, but imagine if we had those 2 Mistwraiths actually go off.
Yeah, because the first one would have died to the Avalanche, but the second one, as far as I can tell, would still be on the board, and I'd have upwards of 5 or 6 attack if everything had gone the way of KHAANX.
Yep. Well, we'll see if we get the Flash Freeze out here. Or, we could even save the Flash Freeze for the next open attack. It's a little risky, I think, taking 8 damage here, but you never know.
Yeah.
We do not have any heal. Listen. Two Harrowing is not the greatest. things are not necessarily looking great for Vygg. Like, Vygg very much has this game. Wow, okay. Gonna save the Anivia, yeah. This is really risky, I think, because this means a fair amount of damage is going to be pushed with this open attack as well.
Well, yeah, especially because I don't know if Vygg is... Oh, no, that's right. The vulnerable is going to fall off the Anivia because it turns back into Anivia. So, yeah, I mean, you get a blocker for the Nocturne, you get a blocker for the Wraithcaller. At the moment, KHAANX is only threatening 3 damage. And oh, no,
it keeps the vulnerable.
Okay, so Anivia and Aghnivia are separate, but that Aghnivia is the same as the Anivia that it revives into.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, if in chat, if you were able to follow that, you know what I mean. Basically, if this Anivia dies, the egg is not going to have vulnerable.
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go. Ruination, baby.
And this tells me, oh yeah, wow, and there's actually no mana. Wow, did we just win?
Yeah, you have to. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Ruination's off the table. I forgot we had gone for. What the hell?
We just won. There's got to be a relentless pursuit. They went for vengeance.
Vengeance?
They vengeance. That's game.
Yeah.
Wow. That came out of nowhere.
You managed to bring it back, KHAANX, and this is what we were talking about, the 2 relentless pursuits in hand. It doesn't matter, though, because that is how favored this deck is, apparently. I mean, you know, we saw a really close game number 1 with a very favorable opening for Vygg. Now, KHAANX misses two copies of the Miss Wraith, and it just doesn't matter.
And, I mean, listen, that's the deck that originally Khan was struggling to get a win with here in at least the last series that we saw. So that was, you know, we said it before, it's pretty crazy how that deck, even in dire straits and in situations where it seems like it should not win, is able to pull things out in just ridiculous swing turns like that.
And that's a misinterpretation on my part of how the Aghnivia and Anivia interaction was going to work out. I thought that the Anivia wasn't going to have vulnerable. I thought you were going to be able to have a blocker for the Nocturne. You weren't going to have to commit anything. And instead, the Vengeance has to come out on the Nocturne to not create Doom Beast as a realistic option for the win. And instead, it's harrowing into Relentless Pursuit. And yeah, that was insane. Harrowing is something that's very difficult to deal with and something that you have to respect. But, I mean, Doom Beast also something you have to respect. And it just felt like a lose-lose for Vygg, who should have been able to pick that one up. But I guess that Wraithcaller deck is just that favored. That almost looks like a 20-80 matchup, I want to say.
Yeah, it still blows my mind that with 3 Avalanche that first game, you know, Khan was still able to almost take that away. So, Fearsome and Miss Wraiths are back with a vengeance. No pun intended there. And I love it. I love it. I think that Miss Wraiths were down and out for a while. They really were. Yeah. So to see them come back strong like this, I really like it. And I like how Shadow Isles has that kind of, like, that strategy of a deck that meets the region profile. That it's dark, it's fearsome, it's scary, it's Shadow Isles. And Nocturne has a very solid place for a champion that I feel like a lot of people underrated when he first got released, that they weren't really sure if he'd be that good. The thing with Nocturne, unfortunately, he never levels. He doesn't level. I'm very curious to see as more cards are released if we're able to get situations where Nocturne has more Nightfall units and actually is able to level, because I feel like he'll be kind of busted if he is able to reliably level. So I'd be curious to see that. But it does look like we are getting into Game 2 here. KHAANX versus Vygg. Vygg running it back with the same deck. And we're going to have mid-range Frostbite on the side of Khan.
So it looks like there weren't any changes in the bans, unless the Ezreal Swain did get banned out, which we might find out if Vygg is able to pick this one up, which, I mean, once again, Reckoning, just a blowout card in a matchup like this.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see if we are able to get the Reckoning early on here, especially if you have a field full of Anivias. I mean, you'd have to... I'm trying to think of a way to actually kill Anivias. You could back-to-back Reckoning, technically. but
that would be a little bit wild.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Ruination, very difficult for KHAANX to deal with. Harrowing, near impossible. And just as long as the Anivia is a win condition that is essentially immune to Frostbite, because all that you really care about is the Glacial Storm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that for KHAANX to actually have a chance at winning this, he needs to be the aggressor. And we're going to have to kind of get that good curve of Omen Hawk, into Sentry, into, Glory Seeker or Trapper. We need that early curve, and then we need to get a early, we have to have Hearthguard on 5. There is one Captain Farron in KHAANX's deck as well. I think that will play into this situation considerably as well, because if we do get a turn 8 Farron, and we're able to get the Decimates off before Anivia levels or before a Harrowing comes out, that is also another way for KHAANX to win the game. If KHAANX can't close this out by the time turn 10 rolls around or the first Harrowing comes out, then I think it's just going to be game over.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be an uphill battle for KHAANX. Those Anivia is going to be doing a lot of work, and not a whole lot of aggression going to come out of KHAANX, but this is a situation where something like the Ash WinCon is on full display, but, triple Grasp of the Undying, that's really the prime target for something like that. The Omen Hawk, you can get that down onto the Ash, just get her up to that 4 HP. It's going to be a lot more difficult for Vygg to deal with. But, I'm looking at this Ruination in the opening hand and saying that might just be it. If you can play that properly, find a good opportunity for it.
Yeah, and as per usual, Omen Hawk on turn 1, because it's always what happens.
So I did want to mention that this is already very different from what we saw last match, right? Because we didn't actually get to see this matchup.
Yeah.
Vygg picked up a win with this deck immediately. The Frostbite midrange got a win against the Swain Ezreal, and then it came down to the Swain Ezreal versus the Mistwraith deck. Now we are getting a totally new matchup, and these players are tied up 5-5 against each other game count here throughout the tournament. This is their 4th match against each other.
Yeah, this is actually, it's weird that we actually haven't seen this yet. Yeah, you're right. So we'll see how this pans out here. Vygg really looking to have 2-drop. That is great. It's not a Glory Seeker because you don't want to play into Vile Feast. It would have been great to swing for sweet 5 damage, but Vygg does have the Sentry to play in return, but that is just going to trade with one of these units. Probably just Sentry for Sentry, to be honest with you, if it does get played. I imagine he will continue to hold it back to go into a Catalyst next turn.
Yeah. And I'm actually so excited for this to play out, SJW, because I'm pretty sure Vygg is going to be pretty hard favored in this matchup. Then we get a rematch on the Frostbite midrange versus the Swain Ezreal, which, while it went the way of KHAANX last time around, it did look pretty close. And there were a couple of plays on the side of Vygg that we did have a couple of questions around that, could have swung it a different way. And if this all gets to culminate in a rematch on that deck, SJW, that is just going to make my weekend.
Well, we'll see if that is going to be the case. This should be interesting, to say the least. And, all right, so, listen, I was just saying this. KHAANX doing a great job. We have the cards that we want to put the aggression on and start pressuring Vygg. The question is, will Vygg draw something like an Avalanche, which won't be too impactful because you're really not killing anything that matters as it currently stands. And do we have the Hearthguard? Do we have the aggressive units on turn 5? Unfortunately, passing into a Ruination is going to feel so bad. Yep, and that is exactly why we're going to go ahead and take that and just, I think, maybe even open attack here. This is a very awkward turn for KHAANX.
Yeah, very, very weak-looking open attack, though, and Vygg not even going to go for the value trades. It's just going to line up this, fair trade Trapper for Tavern Keeper. Maybe thinking, what does it look like if a Troll Chant comes out and I lose the board here? Is this Trapper something that's going to be scary enough that I'm going to have to use a Ruination on it and this entire board a little bit later on? Do I have to fire off the Grasp? And instead, just going to go for the value trade, keep this around a little bit longer. Doesn't take a whole lot of extra damage for his trouble thanks to that Vile Feast. Going to develop his own Sentry. And now KHAANX, eventually you do have to start putting a couple of cards on the board. And we're going to start off with the 6/6 Yeti.
Wow, okay. So definitely a sticky unit, but low mana commitment, low tempo commitment there. And
that is going to be rough for KHAANX. The Anivia picked up with double Rekindler in hand.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Not that, and this is what I was talking about, right? We're on turn 8, or sorry, turn 7, I should say. Feel that I saw the man on the side of Vygg with the Catalyst, but we need to continue to put pressure. We need to have Farron on 8. This is a start. I'm trying to think of how KHAANX actually kills this Anivia. I imagine he's not actually going to go for it.
It'd have to be a second Culling Strike. Reckoning here would be actually
pretty good.
I would say questionable, just because you are wiping most of your own board as well.
Let's see that. Yeah, at least with 1 mana, you can't really redevelop anything.
No, there's only been one trapper, so unless you have that third Omen Hawk, then you get a 6 damage open attack, which admittedly is not nothing.
Ooh.
Okay, Sejuani. Yeah, there's no... I mean, we do still have the flash freeze for Vygg, so he's not necessarily going to lose the egg this turn.
I don't know. I mean, this is looking okay for
it
Khan.
wasn't even his attack turn. Yeah, it wasn't even the attack turn.
No, nope. Because now we have an open attack. This will get dragged probably by the Aversion Sentry. Wow. See, now I'm confusing Sejuani with Nocturne.
Nocturne.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. I understand.
So never mind. We can't actually drag the egg, but if it does get put under the Sejuani, then you're still gonna take the damage. But Vengeance gonna solve this problem for Vygg instead. Gonna take care of that Sejuani, and man, it feels so bad. You know, when you play against a Ruination, you play so much differently than you would versus any other game. You have to take really crappy open attacks. You have to develop at really awkward times, and I definitely feel for KHAANX here. I imagine we'll develop a little bit.
Yeah, and anything that he develops third Omen Hawk isn't going to feel great because Rekindler into the second copy of Anivia on the following turn is just going to clean up this Yeti, and yeah, I think that's why we only see the Omen Hawk come down, but it definitely feels like at this point you are past the point of being able to develop a suitable board to force a Ruination. I think this is the part where Vygg just starts to unanimously run away with the game. He could even just pass here.
Yeah, wow. This is going to be 4 damage to the face. It's going to kill the Yeti. And this feels bad. This is, and yeah, this is the point where I think, wait, why is, he must have, Khan must have not realized. Yeah. Yep. There it is.
There's the emote understanding. Oops, I was probably supposed to throw the Yeti in front of it and stave off a little bit of damage.
And there's the return back. Emote.
And like we had mentioned, this is the 11th time these guys have played each other.
Yeah, so you're allowed some mistakes at this point in the game. And you know, for what it's worth, I don't think Khan comes back now. I think that the board is never going to be established enough for him to take a good attack. I think that Captain Farron, I mean, even if we play like a Captain Farron here, we can't actually get, or no, there's a flash freeze. Never mind. I take it back. Yeah. You're just not going to push damage.
Freeze, there's grasp as well as the Vile Feast. Vygg is effectively at 17 life and is definitely going to threaten lethal on the following turn with that Rekindler. It's 6 damage on the Glacial Storm. It's 5 units. You have to block all of them. Ash is a good start. An Ash out OTK out of nowhere would be one way to come back into this one, but it's just not going to work through the flash freeze as well as, you know, the not just the Ruination, but the fact that the Ash is currently sitting at 1 out of 5.
Yeah, and here is the grass setting up for the Vile Feast, because this, or actually, there's only 6 mana, so we actually cannot kill the Ash with the Vile Feast this turn, which, all right, so Khan can actually develop quite a bit here and try to go in for an attack, but again, I mean, you have way too many blockers. These Anivias are just going to revive if they do block. Iceveil, is this the surprise Ash OTK? We always discredit this.
Well, it's got to, nobody has the attack token, so it'd have to be Harsh Winds to start off the turn. Even then, you're not threatening lethal. I think you're 1 shy.
I don't know. Let's see. There's the Ruination. This is going to be an open attack.
Yeah, it has to be Harsh Winds open, but even then, yeah, you're only representing 15 damage if the Ash levels.
Well, plus we know the Vile Feast would... Oh, no, it wouldn't kill the Ash. So actually, there's 2 Flash Freeze. Jesus.
Yeah, there's...
Oh, man.
I just don't think there's... Because you can't get down Farron and Harsh Winds in the same turn, so there's no universe where you actually get to, like, try and do a cheeky Decimate kill on the following turn. I think that Vygg should be able to pick this one up on the next turn when he does get down that Rekindler into the Anivia. And if he really wants to, you know, can throw out a Flash Freeze onto that Ash into the Rekindler all on the same turn, get it done. Gonna go into game number 3, and I mean, this is what I was talking about, man. I'm really excited to see this Frostbite midrange play against the Swain Ezreal again.
Yeah, wow. It's Crystal Arrow. Gonna get made. This is gonna be the level up for Ash, but doesn't look like we have the additional freeze. Oh, no, we did. Did he play the Harsh Winds? I must have just missed that.
Yeah, he played the Harsh Winds.
Okay, yeah. So this is likely just going to get out these flash freezes here. It's going to save a little bit of damage. I mean, we are now within range of decimates, but again, like you mentioned, we do still have Vile Feast. There's just so much here. Vygg always having the answers, always has, if not removal, heal. If not heal, freeze. So, you know, and we're going to be able to attack with these Anivias next turn, which is going to effectively clear the board of KHAANX. So even if we are trying to prep for another, you know, Ash-type OTK on a following turn, it's likely that this board is not going to survive until then.
Yeah, and I would assume that Vygg is going to get down Rekindler. You obviously don't want to play into that Enchanted Crystal Arrow for a developmental attack, but it does mean that if KHAANX is going to survive the next turn, he needs another Harsh Winds, and that is just further and further away from the Ash Lethal. And another thing worth noting, Crystal Arrow gets absolutely no value in this matchup. You are only ever frostbiting one unit. Everything is at a high enough threshold that it's not happening, and even a... Yeah, you can't even go for a Reckoning here because you don't have a unit.
Oh man, this feels bad.
I think with this setup, KHAANX lives at 1.
2, 4, 6. He can't. Well, he would have to block with the Hearthguard though, right?
No, the Hearthguard's dying anyway.
Oh yeah, there's 3 procs.
KHAANX just takes it.
Yep. Yeah, so this is going to bring us to a game 3. So they have gone to a game 3 every single series they have played thus far. Crazy stuff between Vygg and KHAANX. And Vygg taking it here, bringing it to the game 3. Technically, right now, what is it? Vygg is 1 ahead of KHAANX in all the head-to-head games. So if KHAANX is able to win, they are actually technically tied head-to-head. If Vygg wins, Vygg outright wins everything. When I say everything, it's just a head-to-head because, you know, as a player, you're probably keeping track of that if you're playing the same person a bunch of times, right? So it's going to be interesting to see who is able to take this final game here. And wow, it's been one hell of a day so far. One hell of a match between these two players as well, since, you know, again, time number 3 in the top 8 and time number 4 in the entire tournament that they've actually played each other. Gonna go ahead and restart the client again just to make sure we don't land on any bugs when we go ahead and hop back into the game here. It's been an ongoing battle, but we're getting through it. So, but again, today, Boulevard, so excited for the game right now. And you know what? Honestly, it's getting to the point we always talk about, you know, being able to find the time to play and cast and, you know, etc. And I am like really hardcore lately anyways, forcing myself to find time to play because I am very much enjoying playing right now. Like everything is different whenever you queue up. There's different decks. There's different ways to play and build the decks. Like everything just seems very fun right now in the current metagame.
I've been enjoying it for sure. A couple of decks that I like a lot that were kind of kept down by Fielder Rush and things like that are starting to find their way back into the meta, specifically the like mono Targon style list, the Mountain Scryer stuff. I'm a big fan of things like that. I've been enjoying playing it on ladder, as you had mentioned, you know, and yeah, I mean, even with the limited free time that we do have after we get all of this casting out of the way, we're just still all in on Runeterra, baby. We cannot get enough of this game and can't get enough of this rivalry that is mounting here between Vygg and KHAANX.
Yeah, cannot get enough of this. This is good stuff. And Vygg is a player who we have seen quite a lot of in various tournaments. The LRA, again, Vygg representing Team Mafia Esports, who just recently won the Liga Runeterra de las Americas. So congratulations to them. And continuing to represent here very strongly in multiple tournaments. In this case, the Poro Furioso number 3. The tournament we are here for again today, folks. So if you're just joining us, we are about to get into the last game. Last between Vygg and KHAANX here. Again, they played in Swiss. They played once in the top 8. They played in the winners finals. Now they're playing in the finals and the finals. So it's been a day. It's been interesting. We'll see who is able to actually take home the W here today. And real quick.
Yeah, this is it. This is the last game of the tournament, one way or another. Vygg versus KHAANX fought in round 6. Vygg picks that one up. Go on to the top 8. KHAANX knocks him down to the losers bracket. Go meet in the grand finals again. Says, hey, you thought you got rid of me. Not the case. Resets the bracket. And now it has all come down to Frostbite midrange versus Swain Ezreal. This is a matchup that we saw once in the grand finals. It went the way of KHAANX, but it did not by any means look decisive. And Tri-Beam Improbulator in the opening hand could be a very big difference maker. That was a card that Vygg was not able to ramp up in the previous game. You know, top decked it very late on. Get excited, it's not going to do a whole lot, but honestly, an okay looking start here on the side of Vygg.
And once again, tried avoiding it. It did freeze up on me. So I'm going to go ahead and get this restarted for everybody in just a second. So, yeah, and actually, I think this final, as like the last game, kind of does the meta justice right now. I think that these two decks were the decks that everybody kind of landed on as we're going to start seeing this pop up. Like the second the patch came out, everybody's like, all right, Ezreal Swain, mid-range Frostbite. Those are the two definitive, we know this is going to happen. It's pretty easy to actually predict this. So good to see that, generally speaking, it seems like people were correct in that assumption. But I also, at the same token, I am very happy that I feel this way too. I do not feel that these two decks are great. I think they're good. I think they deserve to be here. I do not think they're great. I think there's plenty of decks that are better and can beat them. So hopefully they're still roping, because I am still waiting for my friends list to load.
I think I got like bugged out in mulligans. Okay, they are not roping. They're on turn number 1 and
Sweet. So we're about to
SJW, I'm going to let you go ahead and guess here what KHAANX did on turn number 1.
Wait! Did it start with Bone and Dock?
It does rhyme with Bone and Dock. it does, in fact, rhyme with Bone and Dock. And I'll tell you what he did on turn 2. It rhymes with Smaverosin Entry. Can we see Cavarosin Rapper? We did. Cavarosin Rapper.
Whoa! I heard that's an up-and-coming DJ, man. He's pretty good.
I sound like I'm having a stroke.
Here we go. We're getting into the game.
It's the Slaughter Doc. Then it's the Cavarosin Rapper.
We're in the finals, baby.
And so far in the finals, Vygg looking to actually have a much better position than he did in the previous set. He does immediately find value on this Calling Strike. That was a card that really played against him in the previous set because he found them really late. A Hearthguard had already come down. I think 2 Omen Hawk had already even come down, and there was just no targets left for that. And now, I mean, we're already at 3 on the Tri-Beam Improbulator. SJW, this might get to be your dream game. This might be the one where the Tri-Beam gets really high.
Where it can kill a Nautilus? Hell yeah. That's what Tri-Beam Improbulator does, baby. If that random Nautilus comes out.
I do have a question about Impobulator.
Did you say Impobulator?
Look, we're rhyming here. If I get Tri-Beam Improbulator up to 11 damage, what does it summon?
It caps out, yeah.
It does cap out?
A random, whatever the highest cost unit is, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think, what is that? She Who Wanders is 10.
Yeah.
What else is 10? Is that it? No.
It's the things that get their cost reduced, like Closet Guardian. Which
are actually pretty bad. Like, because even though they cost 10, they only get you like a 6/6 or whatever. So
yeah,
you actually don't want to get it up to 10 all the time.
So Arbiter of the Peak, pretty good. 6/6 Overwhelm. Plaza Guardian, 6/6 Quick Attack. She Who Wanders, great. Scuttlegeist is a 5/5 Fearsome.
Yeah, but even the 6/6 Overwhelm feels bad when you could get it up to 8 and get an 8 drop. That's like probably way better. You know what I mean?
I'm about to find a really bad 8 drop.
I mean, I'm sure there's bad 8 drops too. Don't get me wrong. Like,
they're actually pretty good. I mean, Riptide Rex probably feels the worst, as does Spectral Matron. But yeah, I think that if you get it up to 10, Scuttlegeist gonna feel. Are there not 9? Oh no, there are 9. Oh man, hold on. What if you get 9 and you get the 7/6 Quick Attack Mina Swiftfoot?
Oh, what if see now Mina is much better for Tri-Beam Improbulator. Let's go. Now I know where you're. Now I like where
we're
you're
gonna fire it off at 4. And we get Mountain Scryer. Well, that feels like a low roll.
Yeah, that is definitely a low roll. For a 4-drop, too, there's a lot of good 4-drops. So,
yeah.
It's not the lowest roll. There's that, Laurent, what's Blade Keeper?
Yeah, the 2/2.
So that would have been even worse. But we do have the Mystic Shot coming out onto the Glory Seeker to save the Ezreal here. But I gotta say, having this Ezreal out, isn't this what happened in the first game too? We had the Ezreal on the side of Vygg, and even though KHAANX couldn't deal with it.
Well, that was the thing. KHAANX had the Culling Strike for most of the game, but was saving it for Swain and maybe Frostbite combo into Leviathan. And now this Swain just about leveled on the side of Vygg. I think that it actually will be leveled by the time it does finally come down and just play around that Culling Strike straight away this time around.
Yeah, going into turn 6 here, not a whole lot of aggression on the side of KHAANX. Gonna be able to, it looks like, on the side of Vygg, get this through. Nope.
Yeah, this time
yeah,
we do have to respect the Ezreal and say, you know what, maybe last time not Culling Striking this card for 10 turns wasn't the best bet. Instead, we are going to take it away this time around. But there was another Ezreal top decked for Vygg here.
And another Omen Hawk. Yeah, that other Ezreal top deck is definitely going to hurt KHAANX, especially using that Culling Strike. Not only that, you also have the Swain in hand. So now you're going to have multiple targets on the field that you need Culling Strike for, and that's really the only way. I mean, there is Reckoning, but step 1, I'm remembering this time, step 1 with Reckoning, you need a 5 attack unit on the field. So we got a little ways to go for that.
Oh, and Thermo Beam. I always forget about Thermo Beam. It's just like, hey, what if Swain just leveled up on one spell?
Yeah.
And I think that's actually going to level the Ezreal as well. Yeah, this Thermo Beam going to deal, at the very least, the last 2 damage needed for the Swain and the Ezreal. So Vygg, very early on, going to have both of his champions leveled and can actually get them down on the same turn as one another here on turn number 8. And honestly, I don't hate just committing my entire turn to this Thermo Beam onto the Hearthguard. There's not much left for KHAANX to develop. I don't hate the Ezreal either. Okay.
No, sure. Ezreal, not bad. I mean, you do save that.
It's still very good, yeah. It's mana efficient.
Yep, there we go. Throw that under. Block both. And
oh no, it looks like we might actually just get the flock.
Yeah, that's the math works out quite well for Vygg in this case, which means we still save the Thermo Beam, which is going to be really nice because that Thermo Beam is just a delete anything button.
Ooh, Culling Strike number 2.
Yep. And actually, I mean, I guess you could argue too. So the whole thing with Swain is that Culling Strike only works on Swain on level 1.
Yeah.
So Vygg can always just wait to play the Swain anyways. So I guess in the side of KHAANX, it doesn't actually make sense to wait to play it on Swain. You should just always be playing it on the Ezreal.
Yeah, and I think Vygg played a Swain into it in the first match and then just got immediately punished for it. You know, just had the Ezreal around for so long that he thought if my opponent has a Culling Strike, surely he would have killed the Ezreal by now. But this time, learns his lesson, gets the Swain, but we are starting to fall pretty low on cards for both players here, and without the Ezreal on board, the Swain isn't nearly as threatening against something like the Frostbite midrange. You know, turn 8 is when you ideally want to go for the Leviathan, but these Swain Ezreal decks really never wanting to go the full grip on that one, only ever playing 2 Leviathan, and this looks like it's about to be Culling Strike number 3.
I don't know. I think this just shuts down the attack. If there's a third Culling Strike, that is insane. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. But this Thermo Beam is going to feel amazing on this Ashe. The problem is, Vygg's only down to 2 cards in hand, and one of them's a Get Excited. Now, granted, we do have the Chump Wump to fuel that Get Excited, so it feels a little less bad. 2 Chump Wumps, no less. But these Chump Wumps are only going to last for so long. Wow. That's bad.
KHAANX, what do you have?
That is bad for KHAANX.
I would imagine is just a lot of Frostbite effects, maybe
or
even Reckoning.
Yeah.
And there's just, you don't have the unit for it. Now, I mean, not a great top deck on the side of Vygg either, though. The Noxian Guillotine is cool and all, but this isn't Twisted Fate Swain. You don't have something like a red card or a Make It Rain to set up multiple targets.
I mean, yeah, this attack does just take care of the Ice Veil Archer, so there is that.
It might as well.
Not that the Ice Veil Archer really had too much value on the side of KHAANX anyway, so I don't think you really mind getting rid of that. Card advantage still kind of equal. I am going to be really surprised if Khan still doesn't play anything. Like, I can't imagine. Now you have 5 cards in hand. Is it actually all freeze? Like, that would be insane if it's all freeze effects.
He is running a much higher presence of freeze effects than we typically see. I think we had mentioned he's on triple Brittle Steel and triple Harsh Winds.
And he just played nothing again that entire turn. That's insane.
So, something that I also noticed, and I don't think we actually got a chance to talk about this, KHAANX does not play Troll Chant.
Oh, actually, I was gonna mention something earlier about that. Wow, he just passed again.
I mean, there are a potential of... I mean, so there are 12 spells in the deck. None of them do anything here. It's another Culling Strike, 2 Reckoning, and then 7 freeze effects. Any unit, I would imagine, is going to come down here, especially because Hearthguard has been played. The Trifarian Assessors will be drawing cards off of themselves.
Wow, I can't believe that. So what I was going to ask is, the other mid-range Frostbite decks that we've been seeing as of late, have they also not been running Troll Chant?
No, they have.
They have been. Okay. I
Yeah,
wasn't
it's pretty
sure
normal.
if we've been seeing that in other places as well. I couldn't remember. But yeah, so it is kind of weird that there's no troll chant because you really do get a lot of amazing combat trades with that. And which, in all reality, that is what Frostbite is used for, right? Is, trading up in combat. So I guess you could argue the use of Brittle Steel instead of something like
There's one of those frostbite
the
effects.
troll chant. Yeah, and there's one of them. So I think we nailed that. I think there's a ton of Frostbite.
Yeah, that is the only flash freeze in the deck, though, so down to Harsh Winds and Brittle Steels.
I gotta say, I think Vygg is gonna take this. I think Khan is way too far behind.
It's definitely looking really good for him, and KHAANX has felt pretty unlucky throughout the whole of the series. Not to take anything away from Vygg and how phenomenally he's played this, but, I mean, is this Omen Hawk number 3 again? Is KHAANX just the god of finding triple Omen Hawk?
Yeah, the god of finding triple Omen Hawk and nothing else, really. All right, so here's a Glory Seeker. The last 2 draws are doing work. Problem is, Glory Seeker, go bye-bye. So this is really quick. Going to get excited here. And honestly, anything that KHAANX plays, especially if we know the other 5 cards are probably a whole lot of nothing, yeah, this is just going to lead to a sweet open attack.
Yeah, and Death's Hand, Noxian Guillotine is even preventing the potential of something like an Ash Lethal out of nowhere, which is always something that you have to consider, especially when you have to read that your opponent's hand is just full of Frostbite effects. There is Harsh Winds.
Wow.
Is Ash going to have absolutely no problem being leveled by the time she does eventually come down? But it's just not enough. Death's Hand going to be proactively be fired off onto the Omen Hawk. Says, you know what? You seem to be having a very difficult time dealing with my board. I would like to keep as much of it as possible around.
Nope, guess not. I mean, I do agree with that sentiment. I mean, everybody knows at this point KHAANX does not have units, so why not try to keep a bigger board presence than my opponent? But, I guess the consideration is there is always the concern about an Ash OTK. And with that much Frostbite in hand, if we assume that there is Frostbite, it's really one of the only dead hands you could have. There's that much more of a chance that an Ash that's drawn leads to an Ash OTK, depending on what else is in the hand.
Yeah.
So there's the Ash.
So I would imagine we start off with the Static Shock. I mean, we do just want to get this cycle down. No, we're going to go for the Death's Hand so that we can guaranteed kill it with the Flock rather than commit the Noxian Guillotine.
Well, the thing is, too, if we start off with any sort of stun, because any damage is going to stun it to the Nexus,
yeah,
then I think that just shuts down KHAANX's whole turn. KHAANX is not going to go for anything, obviously. So,
yeah. I would imagine you still fire off the Flock just to make sure that you get your attack through and push this 11 damage, and then you have lethal with Get Excited, or at the very least, you get another Frostbite effect out of KHAANX.
KHAANX found a Hush. Nope. Okay, never mind. Gave it a shot. You never know.
I hush so that I can attack with my vanilla 5/3.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent lethal anymore.
Yeah, and I got to agree. I feel like Ravenous Flock makes sense here.
Yeah.
You might as well.
I'm going through the sidebar, seeing what's been played. There's probably still 2 Harsh Winds in the hand of KHAANX, so this one could be going on for quite some time still.
Oh, wow. Okay, prioritizing the Glory Seeker, which, honestly, that Glory Seeker is scary if it does go in for an attack onto the Swain, because the Swain is kind of how you're winning the game right now.
Yeah, and that also gives us our Tribeam Improbulator up to 3 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and looks like, that's why we went for that. And it's also...
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this a lot, because it's going to force another Frostbite effect out of KHAANX to level these Ash in response, and that's just not going to be enough. I really like trading this proactively for I'm fine with this, too.
No, I agree with you, though. The Improbulator, being able to get a Frostbite out on a defensive turn, because you know he's going to need it on the defense when you are actually attacking, I think that makes a lot more sense to try to bait that level up out, but... Nope, just going to keep the Improbulator on backup. And honestly, you would have gotten another unit to potentially just end the game too, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have liked the Improbulator.
This should be Harsh Winds number 2. I guess something that I always think about is what's the worst case scenario? And if a Solitary Monk pops out there, I mean, it's really not that bad. We do know that KHAANX doesn't have any units, so
Solitary Monk, Jesus.
I'd have to sit here and redevelop my board. Oh, the Swain finally gonna die here as the 3rd Calling Strike is picked up for KHAANX and the 3rd Chump Wump on the side of Vygg. And at what point do we just start putting these Shrooms into our opponent's deck? They're down to 18 cards. They're at 14 life. I could put 20 Shrooms in there. Looks like we're gonna do at least 5.
Yeah.
At least 10.
Let's see if we just fire them all
Surely
off.
not 15. Surely not 15, Vygg. There is still a rummage in Vygg's deck, so you do want to hang on to 2 of these at the very least to have his discard fodder.
Oh, and there's 1 damage getting off, and again, no heal on the side of mid-range Frostbite, so I do like the shrooms getting proactively put in. We have another way to upgrade this Tri-Beam, so we could get it up to 4 damage here, which would be nice. But really not the best stun target for this this Arachnoid Sentry. You could argue just taking the 3 damage. Feels bad because you know it's just going to block your Trump up anyways, though.
I mean, so you could go for the Sentry on the following turn, right? Mm-hmm. Just block, stun that out, try and push a bunch of damage, see how KHAANX responds to that one.
Yep.
He'll probably have a larger unit to put down, but because you still have the Static Shock and the Noxian Guillotine, you're still really not worried about any kind of Ash Lethal or Sejuani or anything like that. Even a Captain Farron falls to this, but no, it looks like we are going to go for the Tri-Beam, and this could be a little bit scary for Vygg, rather, just because your opponent is still on Farron mana. It's not that scary, but it's a little spooky. It's like a 1980s horror movie. The special effects aren't, but like it's still a little spooky. The ambiance is there.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't even think Farron really wins the game. Wow. Okay, so just gonna pass.
Yeah, it's not Jason Voorhees is running down the hallway. I mean, it's the ambiance. He could be around the corner. If he's there, I'll just run. But he could be there.
Now, we could see a Farron summoned in response to this to just have that blocker. Okay, no, we're gonna get the Hearth card instead. So I mean, listen. If we don't start drawing an Ezreal or a Swain, this could potentially be where KHAANX starts to come back and draw all these units. Because obviously we have Frostbite. We don't have units. There's probably a lot more units left in the deck.
All right, so big money, no Mountain Scryer. Give me something a little bit. Give me an Ancient Crockle with actually white Flame Protector. I'll take that.
See, 4 mana, summon a 4/4, deal 4. Feels pretty good, and wow.
And that is going to be completely negated by the Noxian Guillotine. That, I think, is just lethal for Vygg now. KHAANX went for it. He gets punished. I think Brittle Steel still saves him, so I don't want to call this one just yet because KHAANX is on the full 3 copies of that one. But if a Brittle Steel comes out here and KHAANX lives at 2, the Static Shocks are going to clean it up. He's going to need 2 Brittle Steel. And then, I mean, he has nothing. Yeah, this is just going to be lethal for Vygg, the double Static Shock. And if he wants, you can throw out the 2 Shrooms, see if he can high roll this one. He's going to do it.
That's crazy. There's not a whole lot of use for the Noxian Guillotine, and or there hasn't been most of this game. And to finally have it at that perfect moment, where honestly, if Khan landed that would have brought him right back into this game.
And he gets the Shroom victory. Vygg picks it up with style. 7-5 game count over the court, or maybe even 7-6 game count. A very tight race between these 2 players, but Vygg is the hot guy for the weekend, picks up a win in the LRA with Team Mafia, picks up a win here in Poro Furioso number 3, and Vygg gets the bracket reset to become your Grand Finals champion.
All right, and congratulations, Vygg is your Poro Furioso number 3 champion, so good stuff. On the side of Vygg, again, taking home, or helping his team take home the LRA for Team Mafia Esports, and then also picking up a sweet, sweet Poro Furioso win over the weekend. And again, huge shout out to everybody involved. Thank you for everybody who was in chat that day as well, all the viewers, and most importantly, the players, because without you, what the hell are we watching? Nothing. Exactly. So thank you to everybody who joined the tournament and had a great time. If you want more information on the tournament, links below in the description to the Discord. If you want to go ahead and join next time we have the tournament. I believe, generally speaking, it's every other week. That might change over the next couple of months just because of the EU Masters and the regional tournament and all this happy stuff going on for Legends of Runeterra. But stay tuned. There will be more pure Poro Furioso action coming your way. So as always, everybody stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.